Casimir Pulaski Day came on right after Chicago because it's track 6 and then track 7. And so like your feels are barely recovering, and then bam, there's that one. When I was 18, like right after my 18th birthday, like shortly before we were all graduating high school, one of my very, very old childhood friends like died, like very spontaneously. She had the flu, and it's just like full body infection, and it's just like gone. They made an announcement to my school because she was like in choir and stuff, and a lot of people knew her. And it was just like a very shocking experience to like kind of fall out of touch with someone, you know, but like you'd say hi to them in the hallways or whatever, and then just suddenly they're not like on this planet anymore. I'm like a really latent processor for things, and so I just kind of like spent the rest of the school day in a daze. Like everyone was like crying, like just tears everywhere, and I'm just like stoic, but it was this total zombie. And like I go home and I literally didn't know what to do. And I mean, that's like the thing about like Sufjan Stevens, is that like like Illinois was my main squeeze. It was the security blanket, much like this blanket I have now. And so I put on that song, like I skip right to it, almost unintentionally. I think that's what the track had left off at in my CD player, and like just silent tears pouring down my face. I love that song so much, but I can't listen to it sometimes. It's like, it's too good, and it's too hard. It's just like sitting on my bed, like doors closed, like my parents don't even know how to, because my parents knew. They didn't even know how to talk to me. They didn't have to though, like he did the talking, like Sufjan did the talking. My best friend in high school also had like a similar reaction problem to me. She also was like an old childhood friend of this girl, and then she didn't really know how to deal with it at all. She was much like me, just like very like zombie-like, but like not responding to like anyone being like, do you want to talk? And she and I didn't really like, for the rest of the weekend, like we didn't really talk to each other because we didn't know what to say. I was actually reminded a lot of this when we were watching that episode of Daria where that football star came back and then spontaneously died. And everyone's like, Daria, you're like this queen of sadness, like let me talk at you. And she's like, no, you don't get it. That's not it. I don't know, it was a lot like that. Everyone just had a different way of processing it. And then so like a couple weeks went by and she and I weren't really talking because we had like nothing really to say to each other. Like we had all of the things to say to each other, but none of the things. And then like we're driving somewhere on a Friday night, and I just like, I put on the track because my iPod was the one plugged in, and like midway through the song, like I can, like she's tearing up and she's like, it's so awful and you don't even think it's real, and then you realize that it is. And I felt pretty good that I could do that for, that like Sufjan and I could do that for her too. Like I hear that song, I think of Marie, I think of that week or those 2 weeks in my life, and like I hear it. My favorite Sufjan Stevens song is Man in Metropolis Steals Our Hearts, just because I love the melody. Like I think it's this beautiful melody. When I was a sophomore here, I was like I wasn't doing so well. I was like my parents like didn't have a lot of money, and I was fighting with them a lot, and I was like, I mean, I'm still working at a job that I don't like, but like I was doing a lot of hours there. And a boy that I liked didn't like me, and that was weird, and I felt like I didn't have many friends again, and people were like finding their social niches. I wound up at this like house show that I felt really out of place at because I didn't know anyone except for my roommate that I came with, but like Sarah Ahmet was playing, and I was like, okay, I know this name, I want to see her. And they closed with a cover of Man in Metropolis Steals Our Hearts, and I was like, yeah, I think we're gonna be all right here. Like, I think, like, buck up, Buttercup, like, we can do this. I'm gonna see him one of these days. I'm gonna talk to him and tell him that how many times he's like saved me as a teenager, and even now. It's like my go-to homesick soundtrack. It's also just something like my mom and I shared, because even though like I kind of ignored it the first time she told me about it, like we listened to it a lot in the car. She bought me the like album for Hanukkah, and I don't know, I thought it was always like my mom's way of like trying to like reach out to me, like pretending to like what I like, to like connect with her kid, but like no, she gets it too. Like she appreciates it too. And I get that like now, like 6 years too late or whatever, but so I think of my mom too. I should call my mom. You made me proud to be from my state, and you made me love music more than I thought I could. I just want to make sure that he gets the gratitude.